comprehensive data system to track all the little kids in the state so they can be more efficient, effective, and elegant, which is their terminology. Yes, sir.
My analogy to this Senate Bill 130 that you're talking about is like a mother hen gathering her chicks so that she can protect them, because the funding has run out on this grant money that came about in 2007. And so by doing this and getting them all under one umbrella, it's easier to protect from
very good point. Very good point.
Funding away from any of that.
Let me give you a little background as I have been able to uncover all of this. I kind of got into this when somebody showed me these daycare regs. Little did I know I was going to become an expert on daycare regulations in Colorado and related areas for early childhood systems. But they have this master plan, and it's not just some kooky idea that somebody with tinfoil on their head dreamed up at night and thinks there. No, it's published by the Early Childhood Leadership Commission, which was a commission that was first established by Bill Ritter, and then it was put in place by statute. And then Senate Bill 130 actually goes back and reauthorizes it. But this commission, which is headed up by Joe Garcia, the Lieutenant Governor, and Reggie Bica, the Director of Human Services, has developed a 5-point plan for what they want to see implemented for early childhood programs. Okay, and this is, you know, this is where 130 comes from in as far as the overall global thing statewide. And their 5 plans are: first, they want to come up with education and development standards for preschool kids. And by early childhood, they mean grade from birth. Actually, in one place they say from pregnancy, but essentially from birth to age 8. They want a comprehensive system. They first want to come up with some standards. Okay, a little 3-year-old is supposed to be at such and such a development stage. How many parents do we have here? Yes, I see an immediate example. How many kids do you have? You have 4. Are they all the same? Is there any standard that you could establish for one who's 3? No, I don't think so either. But that's, you know, the statisticians and the you know, the social scientists and the civic busybodies all want to, you know, put your kids into the box and figure out if they fit in the box. And if they don't fit in the box, they need some remediation somewhere. Maybe you need to be looked at a little more carefully too. You know? So that's the first one. They want to develop standards. The second one is they want to take this program called TQRIS, which is Tiered Quality Rating something something system. Forgive me for not remembering the whole detail, but it's a mechanism for identifying how licensed early childhood programs are functioning, and it's actually the standard system they use to develop the 98 pages of regulations, and that's by Reggie Bica, the director's own admission. This is what they use as that, you know, this is the very best, is this TQRIS, which is a voluntary program for licensed early childhood systems or businesses or programs in the state. Well, goal number 2 is to make it mandatory. So anybody who has a licensed program of any sort is going to be mandated into this quality rating system. Number 3 in their goals is to develop more skilled professionals for early childhood programs. Professionals, that, you know, and that's their number 3 goal, is to make sure they have, you know, maximum training, and some have even talked about how they need to be, you know, have higher degrees of education, so that, you know, daycare center operators would have to have a 4-year or higher degree. And even today, they're implementing requirements on daycare center operators. Some who have been in business for decades and know it like the back of their hand, and they're saying, you need to go back to college and get your little certification, or we're not going to allow you to stay, you know, keep your business intact. So that's number 3. Number 4 is to create a readiness program for kindergarten. So once again, it's kind of back to the standards. We want to figure out how kids are developing, and we want to have a program in place so that when they hit kindergarten, they're ready to go. It's essentially called preschool. And some parents choose preschool, and that's fantastic if they want to do that. I want to tell you, however, statistics show that after 3 years in school, there's no difference between with preschool and without preschool academically. It can be a positive thing, and for my kids, my wife and I, we tried our best to have our kids, you know, as far along as we could. But statistically, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But, you know, they need to have everybody in their professional system. And then number 5 is their comprehensive data system for tracking the progress of all kids in Colorado. And they say, oh, well, it's only voluntary. Well, yeah, right. Yeah. Tell me another tale. They have an immunization program right now, a tracking system where you can opt out as a parent. You know what happens when you opt out? You get put on the list of those who opted out. You don't get out of the system. Yes, sir.
Are those applicable also to homeschooling?
Yes and no. Define those. You mean those 5 points?
Yes.
If you're an early child, you know, if you're a child in Colorado, it applies, period. And actually, grade or birth, from birth to 5 or 6, there actually isn't a, quote, homeschool circumstance. So, yeah, it applies across the board. Now, they put a little, it was a sop to, frankly, some things I was doing. They put an amendment in that says this will be voluntary for all parents. And I said, well, what about the professional, you know, what about the private daycare centers? Was it voluntary for them? And the answer was no, it isn't at all. And what about the data system? No, there's just no. Yes, sir.
Senator, isn't this whole issue not really about the children but the indoctrination?
Well, at one level it is, yes.
I mean, that's the whole goal of the Democratic Party right now is not really for their kids. They can't even get their public schools set up in their own cities.
There's a lady who's really gone out on the forefront in fighting Senate Bill 130, and she has an incredible story to tell, because she was born and raised in Sweden, and she puts it this way, and she is now a U.S. citizen, has been in this country for 20 plus years. She said, when I was 6 months old, my parents turned me over to the state. I don't want that to happen here with my kids.
Amen.
And that is largely the attitude. Now, on the part of individual senators who are promoting all this idea, they just, I don't know if they can see that far down the road to understand the real end game of a lot of this stuff. But somebody said socialism, and it is far too close to where we're at.
Yep.
Hey, Matt, welcome.
For the fun of running statewide, you get around a lot of different places.
Yeah, which reminds me, I better be quick here and start wrapping things up, I think. Is that correct? Okay, well, a couple more minutes here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. The question a lot of folks have, I'm kind of a novice. A lot of this stuff is brand new to me, but a lot of people when I sit and have coffee will ask something that is, what do we do to slow the process down so we can actually do some good things? You just talked about this research about by second grade, all the head start that we spend
Third grade, but yeah.
What I just read in No Excuses by Thornburg, it says in second grade, there's no difference except for maybe a little social skill difference.
Yeah.
But second or third grade, either way, that's $6,600 a year for 3-year-old, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds that we spend in Head Start. It's been shown on longitudinal studies, it's failure. So where is there any commitment to an honest, transparent accountability, which is what we all know we want to develop in our children and unfortunate folks that are struggling right now, that's what we want them to have so they can be successful. How do we get that built into this process that we call legislation?
Well, it's an excellent question that really goes to some of the fundamentals of how the process does work overall.
Are there things we can do as...
Remember what I said a few minutes ago, how are votes determined? So you elect.
The vote? Is there anything we can do other than vote?
Well,
Don Sampson, Gary Mike.
yeah, you're in
That's what we're gonna do.
You're in the right place at the right time, right here.